It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to the program. It is County-Wide. I'm Brad Miller, and we're very happy to welcome back, this time via Zoom, Yavapai County Recorder Michelle Burchill. And as our election season heats up, there might not be anybody busier than Michelle and her very qualified and competent staff at the Yavapai County Recorder's Office, the Elections Department, everybody getting together because there's a lot of important decisions to make here in just a few weeks' time, but also on into the fall as it is that time of year. So, Michelle, thank you so much for taking time out of what I know has to be a busy day for you and joining us on this program. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
One of the things we want to talk about in our previous two-part chat, we mentioned this, and no surprise as election season is heated up, that there's some folks that really want to sow some disinformation, misinformation, and you might, listeners, be getting texts or emails or phone calls or things like that where folks are really just kind of make the whole election process, the voting process, the registration process more confusing. Some people like to play the game that way. And Michelle, is it true that your office has been getting complaints or inquiries from citizens who are confused because of some of this disservice that's going on?
Right. Yes. We try to follow, the social media. I always say our eyes and ears are open. We want to know what's going on in the community and what's being said. But we also have a lot of very engaged voters here in Yavapai who are the eyes and ears for us. And we were notified last week from several voters that they were receiving multiple calls and texts, like an individual is getting multiple. So not just multiple across several people. And what the calls and texts were alluding to was that either they were not on the active early voter list when they were, or they were potentially not registered. We see this a lot during every election cycle. And I don't know if I want to say this is purposely being done to cause confusion or purposely being done to, manipulate a voter or a group of voters. But I think a lot of these third-party groups that are setting out with these intentions to make sure people are voting are working off of lists that are not coming directly from our office, or they're very old lists.
Okay.
So somebody who's been a registered voter in Yavapai for 12 years and is actively voting in every election receives something saying you're not on the registration rolls anymore, or you're not on the active early voter list, and you've been receiving a ballot by mail this whole time. It's going to make them worry. And what we just really want to stress is, if you have a question, give us a call. Come to the source. Talk to your local elections department, because these third parties, again, are not always going to have the most accurate and up-to-date information.
I want to point out very quickly, and I think you can kind of help me clarify this. We don't have any suggestions that these calls, this disinformation, calls, texts, emails, whatever it may be, are necessarily coming from candidates or political action groups. We're not really sure. Your message is much bigger than that, and that it's to get the correct information in front of folks before. I can imagine what it would be like. I've gotten my ballot. My early ballot came in the mail. If I were to get a text allegedly from an authoritative office like yours that said I'm not registered, that would be extremely distressing. So I can see how you and your staff fielding these concerns from citizens has got to be a real stressor at a time when your office is already very busy. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. We get this a lot, and unfortunately, it's not anything new. Another thing that we've noticed is we have these third-party organizations that will send, say, a registration form or a AVIL request form to be a vote by mail voter, they'll send them out to individuals or to households, and it will give the appearance that they're coming from our office. And they'll download the Secretary of State's registration form or AVIL form where it has the SOS logo or seal. And people get the impression that it's coming from us, but they're not. And one thing I did notice recently was a lot of these forms that are coming back to us have a pre-filled out box, such as the AVIL box. I want to vote by mail in all elections. And the voters are either just filling it out just to, be like, well, I want to make sure I have it. Or they potentially could be filling it out and not realizing that there's a check mark in that box and not really intending to be, say, a vote by mail voter. But if they sign it and it is the voter that is sending it back to us, putting it in the mail, addressed to our office, if their signature is on it, and we do verify the signatures on those also, then we update it. And again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it per se, but I want our voters to stop and pay attention to what they're signing up for. Look over these applications. And if you know already that you are registered to vote and you've had no issues, don't waste your time doing that. It's not coming from our office. We are not going to send you anything unless you request it, unless we're actually trying to track you down because you say you turned in your ballot and I don't like your signature.
Right.
Besides that, if you know that your voter registration is correct, don't bother filling out all of these additional forms or answering these questions or answering these texts, because it's just going to create a distrust that is unneeded for the voters.
Yeah, it just muddies the waters. It kind of clouds, the field, if you will. And a lot of people might be of a mindset, well, better safe than sorry, and look at it just the wrong way. So the questions that they may have, I want to tell our listeners, we'll definitely give information about how to contact your office if they do get questions or receive these. You mentioned text. Is that primarily how some of these this misinformation is getting out? Is it also phone call, email, or all of the above? Or
so far, I know it's been texts and phone calls and mailers.
Okay.
I haven't heard any email, but I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
I received one on my phone for my son, who's not even on my phone account, but it keeps going to his name on my phone. So obviously there's some sort of disconnect. This is not coming from a legit voter file or voter roll. It's coming from probably some sort of mailing or, mail house somewhere that has some sort of information on people who have at one point resided in a household. So again, I think they're pulling data from different sources that are not from the correct source, for one.
Yeah.
And it is causing confusion.
It's kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire. These folks get just enough legitimate information that it can make them appear to be very convincing very, very quickly, when indeed they're not, or at the very best, not everything kind of meets the eye. So if you do have questions, if you do get a text, an email, whatever it is, talking here to the listeners, talking to the voters, Michelle, what's the best way to sort through the weeds and get to your office and find out, get these answers to their questions?
So one thing I highly recommend all voters, and I've been saying this since before the election started, if you have a moment, I highly recommend everyone verify your voter information. You can go to my.arizona.vote, and that takes you to the portal that is connected to all of the county's voter information. And it will ask you for some credentials. It's going to ask you very specific information about you as a voter. But once you do that, you're going to be able to verify, is my address correct? Is the apartment number correct? Is my party affiliation correct. So we want everybody to this year verify, right? We're all adults. Let's all take some accountability, but help us. You making sure your information is correct is going to help us to keep our rolls as accurate as possible. If you move, please make sure to notify us. Let us know that you've changed address or even something as simple as an apartment number. We have so many times that people move and they will do a change of address with the post office, but that doesn't re-register you to vote. We need you to contact us. So do your part to help us, because in the end, we all have the same agenda, which is to have free, fair, accurate, transparent elections and clean voter rolls. So each individual voter can assist us with that to make it as accurate as possible. And if you have a specific question to something outside of your voter information, or you want to report something that's making you uncomfortable, if you see something, say something and bring it to the source. You are the eyes and ears for us out there in the community, because right now we are in a bubble trying to administer the election. So you can go to yavapaivotes.gov for any election related information about Yavapai County, and you can call us directly at 928-771-3248 extension number 9.
Okay.
Just one more thing. If you are a vote by mail voter, those ballots were sent out on July 3rd. Obviously, we had a holiday in between there, and we know the mail system's a little slower in rural areas. If you don't receive your ballot, I'd say, by the end of this week, give us a call. Let us look into that. We've had a lot of people call and say, I didn't get a ballot, but my family member did. But then we see that that person either didn't sign up to be on the vote by mail, or they actually opted out of it at one point. So we're seeing a lot of that happen, where people assume one thing and then we say, wait a minute,
right,
you re-registered and you chose not to receive it this way.
Right.
So again, just come to the source. If there's something wrong, we're going to make sure that we accommodate you and get you the tools you need to cast a ballot.
Terrific. We need to take a break, and I want to assure our listeners we'll have Michelle repeat that information, those contact names and numbers, web addresses, whatever it is, to make sure that your vote counts, that it's delivered in a fair, free, and timely manner, and that your decisions, your thoughts and feelings on what is happening will count just the way that you intended to. It's Countywide. Our guest today is Michelle Burchill, Yavapai County reporter. I'm Brad Miller. We'll break. We'll be back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology, factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
This is Andy Grosetta, Grosetta Ranches. I am a third-generation rancher whose family was one of the pioneer mining and ranching families in north central Arizona. The Verde Valley is a special place I grew up and my wife and I raised our family. I wanted to keep the Verde Valley special. That's why I'm voting to re-elect Supervisor Donna Michaels. Supervisor Michaels is always ready to listen, discuss, and problem-solve any issue that concerns her constituents in the Verde Valley. Personally, I have worked with Supervisor Michaels on many issues involving healthcare in northern Arizona and grazing and off-highway vehicle issues on forest lands. I admire Supervisor Michaels because she doesn't hesitate to work across party lines to get things done. Her goal is simple: base decisions on input from residents and what's best for them and the Verde Valley, not special interests. Supervisor Michaels is a strong leader who seeks resolutions that work for the people she represents, and I am proud to support her her for re-election.
Paid for by Donna Michaels for Supervisor Campaign Committee, authorized by Donna Michaels.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
We welcome you back to the program. It's Countywide. I'm Brad Miller, and on Zoom today, very happy to have Michelle Burchill, a Yavapai County recorder at probably one of her busiest times of the year, join us, take a few minutes, and help us understand some of the issues that are happening around voting. We talked about some of the disinformation that comes along with every election. If you get a text, an email, a phone call, and it doesn't seem right to you, it's giving you some instructions, contact the recorder's office. Reach out. Don't assume that it's a legitimate effort to get you to do something you're uncomfortable or unfamiliar with. Let's talk about some other things, Michelle. We know Yavapai County, Arizona as a whole, but certainly Yavapai County remains and has been a leader in early balloting. My ballot came in the mail. I haven't filled it out yet. Probably will this week. Are you expecting that once again for this election, this primary and probably the general too, that we'll get some very strong early ballot returning?
That's correct. I actually just received our totals for as of this morning. Yavapai County, we always take pride in the fact that we are an engaged voting community. And we always have the highest voter turnout in the state consistently for pretty much every election cycle. And we very much pride ourselves on that. And the political parties, just the general voting behavior in Yavapai has really been to vote early. Majority choose to vote by mail in some way. But as of this morning, I just got a ballot total, and I'm at about almost 5,900 ballots have been received as of this morning. And we've accepted a little over 3,000, which means we've signature verified them and got them ready to transfer over to the elections department. So that's a pretty strong return, considering most people didn't even receive their ballots till just went out.
I just want to add to that only that for our listeners' sake, this show is pre-recorded and it's July 10th as we're talking with Michelle. So very strong already. No surprise for Yavapai County. We vote, we mean it, and we want to get it there early, taking advantage of that process. You mentioned something I'd like you to share with the listeners that I just didn't understand. It's not new. It's been going on for a while. Those early ballots, you will begin tabulating them ahead of the July 30th primary day, but there will be no results posted. In fact, you don't even get the results or see the results until after the July 30th election day. Did I say that right?
That is correct. So I believe the elections department has a schedule already set. I think it's going to be towards the end of this week or early next week. And you can go on yavapaivotes.gov and click on our live stream to actually see that process when it begins. But they're going to wait till we get a substantial amount of ballots back before they start having teams come in to do that process. But they will start tabulating a couple weeks before Election Day, because we're going to have tens of thousands, over 100,000 early ballots that are working up to Election Day. As the tabulation room is actually going through that process and tabulating those ballots, we do not see the results. We actually will, on election night, you'll see the staff in there kind of standing around right at close to 8 o'clock, and they're waiting for them to push that button saying to give them the results. And at that time, within just a few minutes, we are uploading them to our website, uploading them to the Secretary of State's website, and then we will share to social media. So we do not see the results before the community does. And at 8 p.m. that night, a little after, once we, do our steps, all of those first initial results are all the early ballots that we've collected up until the weekend before the election. And then, of course, throughout the night, you will start seeing the election day ballots, because we have to wait for all of these voting locations to physically bring the ballots by police escort, by the way, back to our office for central count on Fair Street. So anybody out in the population can observe that process online or even in person throughout the evening.
Police escort, is that new?
We've had that for the last few election cycles. So we coordinate with the sheriff's department. Again, we treat these ballots like money, right?
Yeah.
They're really worth more than money. So we take every step we can to make sure that we are taking the highest security procedures possible. And that evening, throughout the night, because some vote centers are going to be open later because there's a line, but we have places coming from all over, from Baghdad, from Black Canyon City, from Williamson Valley. They're all over the county, and it takes time for them to reconcile, to close everything down, to pack everything up, to put them in their secure boxes and actually transport them back here. So you'll see results coming throughout the night, and all of those results are going to be election day voters' ballots.
Right. One final question, Michelle. The drop boxes, not the postal box where some ballots can go now, but the drop boxes become even more useful the closer we get to the actual election day, when the Postal Service, you may not be able to get your ballot in time if you put it through the mails. It'll need to go in one of the community drop boxes. Are there as many as there have ever been? Are there fewer? Are there more than last time? And are they secure?
We currently have 19 drop boxes located throughout the county. They are all on either city, town, county, or state property. None of those have changed. I've received an overwhelming request to install more drop boxes. Anyone who has lived and voted in Yavapai for the last several cycles, we know the mail leaves Yavapai County, goes to Phoenix, comes back up to a local post office, and then, we have to get it from there. So it is timely. So the drop boxes, we have teams at every location on election night at 7 p.m. to close those boxes and collect those ballots. So if it gets close to election day, I really would highly recommend, if you choose to return your ballot through the method of the mail, give it at least a week.
Yeah.
I would be even more comfortable with 10. And if you have not put it in the mail before that time, let's say it's the 30th, if it's not in the mail by, say, the 20th or 21st, I would rather you either drop it off at a early vote center, drop it off on the drop box, or you can even drop it off on election day. But we all know we do not like late early ballots. So please avoid dropping it on election day unless you absolutely have to. That creates more of a delay in us getting you those results.
I would assume most people who get and request an early ballot and get one return it probably fairly quickly. It's kind of the point of the access and the availability to do that service. So terrific.
Well, you'd be surprised,
all right.
Though, every election cycle, I see several hundred ballots come through the mail after election day. And unfortunately, we are not a postmark state. We do not accept them, even if it's the very next day. And sometimes it's several weeks or even months that I'm still getting ballots back in the mail. So again, if you want to make sure and ensure that, the chain of custody is there and you know who touched your ballot and it's guaranteed it's in my possession by 7 p.m., get it back early or use a drop box or drop it at any of our offices.
Outstanding. One final time as we thank you again and say goodbye, please, if you would, Michelle, repeat that information that you gave us a little earlier in the program, where people can check their voting status, their registration status, and if they do find something or have a question for you or your office, where should they go?
Perfect. To check your the status of your voter registration and the status of your ballot that you've returned, you could go to my.arizona.vote. Again, you'll put in your personal information and it will take you to your voter profile. Trust but verify, right? Verify that your information is accurate and up to date. If you have any specific questions about locations of voting centers or drop boxes, or want to watch the tabulation, go to yavapaivotes.gov. And if you want to talk to somebody in our voter registration department or report something specific, call 928-771-3248 and click extension 9, and you will get a live person that will answer the phone.
Outstanding. We thank you so much for the work you do on behalf of our county and for joining us again. Our guest today, Michelle Burchill, Yavapai County Recorder, talking about elections important information. And the ballots are hitting the mails for that July 30th primary. Michelle, again, thank you so much. I'm Brad Miller. It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology, factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Hi, this is your supervisor, Donna Michaels. I decided to run in 2020 because Verde Valley residents' voices simply were not being heard. I ensured that your values were guiding the county's decision-making process. You also demanded action on implementing long-term solutions to secure your water future, to protect your public land through OHV legislation, and increasing road safety and easing traffic congestion. We advocated for access to convenient, high-quality health care we all deserve. I'm proud to share that together, we've made significant progress on these critical issues, as well as many others. Please visit my website, supervisor.michaels.com, and learn more about our progress and our accomplishments. With your vote on July 30, we will continue to preserve and protect our very special Verde Valley.
Paid for by Donna Michaels for Supervisor Campaign Committee, authorized by Donna Michaels.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.